A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today, so cheers. Today we are looking at the second book in the Finder's Stone trilogy by Kate Novak and Jeff Grubb, the Wyvern's Spur. Just look at that cover. It is absolutely amazing. Now, when I first read this book, back in high school, I didn't really enjoy it. It didn't have the same tone as Your Bonds, the first book in the series, and it came off as a little bit childish and a little bit silly, and that is primarily because of the main character, Georgie, or Georgie, however you want to pronounce it. I'm just going to say Georgie, Wyvern Spur. Now, to give you some context as to where this book is set in relation to other Forgotten Realms novels, I'm going to jump very briefly to a map of Faerun, and just to give you some idea of where this is taking place. So just to give you some context as to where this book and pretty much the trilogy takes place, we have Cormyr just here and the Dale lands up here. So we're basically looking at this area of Faerun. Now what's interesting is that early Forgotten Realms novels took place, the first trilogy actually took place over here on the Moonshae Isles. But mostly it revolved around the Dale lands, Cormyr, kind of this section. Then we had a few other ones that were a bit further south, but a majority now take place here, leading up to the Icewind Dales up here. This is the R.A. Salvatore kind of section of the map, and all of this has largely been forgotten now. But for this book, for As Your Bonds, the Wyvern's Spur, and the third book in the series, Song of the Sorials, takes place pretty much in this area here. So now you have an understanding of just how vast the Forgotten Realms actually are. And granted, this is an older map dating back to, I believe, 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, but it's largely the same. Okay, so now that you know where the book is set, the next thing I have to do is show you exactly what a Wyvern, or Wyvern, depending on how you want to pronounce it, to show you exactly what it is in the context of Dungeons & Dragons, because it's kind of important to the story. You can tell from the title, the Wyvern Spur. So, okay, let's go and check that out right now. Now, for those of you that have no idea what a wyvern actually is, first and foremost, it's a mythological creature, but we are going to go to the trusty 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual. So let's flick this puppy open, head all the way to the W's. Oops, gone a bit too far. And here we have our wyvern. A wyvern is a dragon. It has 2 legs, wings, and a poisonous stinger on its tail. According to the game statistics, it has an armor class of 13, hit points of, what is that? 13d10 plus 39? Wow. It can walk and fly. And it has multi-attack. The stinger is the most deadly one. Basically, you can poison people, and it does quite a lot of poison damage, 7d6, if you fail a DC 15 Constitution save. What does all that stuff mean? Well, who fucking cares, because this is a book review and not a game review, but I just want you to get an idea of what the Wyvern or Wyvern, depending on how you want to say it. I say Wyvern. Actually looks like in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So now that you know that, let's get back to the review. So you've got the general idea of where the book is set and what the fuck a Wyvern actually is. This is going to be a little bit of a spoilery filled review, and it might not make a lot of sense in some places unless you go and watch my review of Azure Bonds, which you can find on our Plaguelands Media YouTube channel. I'm just going to say, for those of you that don't want this book spoiled, I really did enjoy it this time around. I thought it was a lot of fun. There were a few problems, which I will get to in the review, but all in all, it was a pretty good fantasy novel and a good sequel to Azure Bonds and a good stepping stone into the next book in the series, Song of the Saurials, which I am currently reading and will review in the very near future. So with that said, let's just get right into the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. 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 People.
So there are really two main characters in this book. You can see on the cover, there we go. You can see Georgi Spur and Olive Ruskettle, the halfling bard. Olive was a key player in the first book. However, Georgi wasn't such a key player. In fact, he played like a side character apart from the main party of Elias, Dragonbait, Akabar, and Olive. So it's really interesting that this novel focuses primarily on him. Now, he is returning to his ancestral home of the city of Immercy, and the reason he is heading back home is because a family heirloom has been stolen, the novel's titular Wyvern's Spur. Now, the Wyvern's Spur was gifted to the founder of the family, a man named Patton, because he helped a Wyvern rescue her children, and the Wyvern gifted him this artifact, the Spur, of course, being the part of the Wyvern that comes off the back of the foot. It's been stolen, and the matriarch of the family, this woman named Dorath, wants it back, but wants it back with little to no fuss. She doesn't want people to know what has happened. The legend goes that so long as the family remains in possession of the Spur, their bloodline will continue. But with it stolen, they're worried about this curse happening. Dorath's brother Drone, who is a wizard of, quite powerful, gathers kind of the family together to let them know what is going on. Now, at this point, we get another storyline involving Olive Ruskettle, the halfling bard. She is in Immercy with her good friend Jade. Jade is a thief that Olive has kind of taken under her wing. The reason Olive has done this is because Jade resembles Elias of Westgate from Azure Bonds. Now, at the end of that novel, there were a bunch of clones of Elias that vanished from the White Citadel, and Olive believes that Jade is one of these clones that vanished, and so has kind of taken Jade under her wing. And they pickpocket Georgi as he is leaving a tavern, and Jade tries to pickpocket a nobleman who Olive believes is the Nameless Bard. Again, this is something from the first book. Go and watch that review. And the Nameless Bard basically disintegrates Jade, killing her instantly. Jade had taken a black stone crystal out of his pocket, and this nobleman who goes by the name of Flattery ends up killing Jade. Jade had given Olive some items, namely a bag of holding, and there is some indication that Jade had been visiting family. Olive hadn't seen Jade for a week. She'd been visiting family. Olive didn't know what that meant because Jade, of course, has no memories because she is a simulacrum of Elias of Westgate, who herself is a simulacrum, but, go watch the other review. So, ultimately, the person that disintegrated Jade, this Flattery, has sent his wife, a wizard by the name of Cat, to go into the crypt where the Wyvern Spur was kept under the protection of the Guardian, who is the spirit of the original Wyvern that gifted the Wyvern Spur to the family. And Cat is also a simulacrum of Elias of Westgate. It gets very twisted. I'm not going to go into it. You should actually read the book. Joji and his brothers Steele, who is an absolute prick, and Frefford, who we met in Azure Bonds. He was the one that was getting married. You might remember that Elias attacked Joji at the wedding because he did an impression of King Azan IV. They have been tasked, the three of them, have been tasked with going into the crypt to find the Wyvern Spur. They are cousins. We find out that Frefford's wife has gone into labour, so he's not there. And Steele's bitch of a sister, Julia, has come to try and trick Joji to poison him. And Steele wants the Wyvern Spur for himself. He wants to be the one that finds it so he can get the power. Now, Olive Ruskettle at this point has been turned into a donkey and is with Joji. She got turned into a donkey because Joji kept losing his money purse, and his Uncle Drone put a spell on it that whoever opens this purse that isn't Joji will turn into a little ass. So she turns into a burrow, and that's a whole other thing. Steele is captured by monsters, kobolds, that are in the catacombs beneath the crypt. Joji meets Cat. They rescue Steele. Joji kind of recognizes Cat looks like Elias of Westgate, takes her under his protection because Flattery is kind of out to get the Wyvern Spur for himself. Drone is subsequently killed by Flattery, or so we think. It's a kind of fake out. We discover that Joji has been having these intense dreams his entire life, ever since he met the Guardian in the crypt. And they are dreams of him as a Wyvern, killing animals and people and whatnot. We discover that Jade, who was killed, was actually adopted by Drone. So she is technically a Wyvern Spur, and only a Wyvern Spur can get into the crypt past the Guardian. And she was the one that stole the Wyvern Spur for Drone, but couldn't give it to him because she had subsequently been killed by Flattery. But she had the Wyvern Spur hidden in the bag of holding. Joji is attacked by undead twice in the book. He is saved by a priestess of Saloon, the goddess of the moon, who happens to be a werebear as well. And this priestess relates how Georgie's father was killed. Georgie's father, Cole, used to take the Wyvern Spur out of the crypt and go on adventures, and the power was the ability to transform into a wyvern, and ultimately Georgie gets his hands on the Wyvern Spur. Flattery kidnaps Frefford's newborn daughter, and Georgie has to go and confront Flattery with the help of Olive and the priestess, of course, and not only get back the baby, but also to restore honor to the Wyvern Spur family and to kind of do his father proud. So the battle kind of ensues. Let me just bring the... No, that's not what I want. Let me just bring the cover back up. The battle ensues with Flattery, of course, cheating like he did when he actually killed Georgie's father. We discover that Flattery is himself a simulacrum of the nameless bard, otherwise known as Finder Wyvern Spur, and it all kind of is connected and carries into the third book. Now, I've glossed over a hell of a lot here, and the reason I've done that is because it is complicated, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't really enjoy this when I first read it in high school. Azure Bonds is very straightforward, and if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, it goes like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. This is not. This is complicated, this is character driven, and this has way too much, in my opinion, character exposition. Characters just relaying the plot so that we get it and that other characters get it, and it gets very tedious and very boring a lot of the time. The characters themselves, however, are pretty fun. They are not one-dimensional, generic fantasy characters. Although you could say that Georgie comes off as a bit of a buffoon at times, but his heart's in the right place. All in all, a very solid Dungeons & Dragons, early Dungeons & Dragons fantasy novel. I did enjoy this, and I do recommend it. However, as the second part of a trilogy, it is by far the weakest story in the trilogy of Azure Bonds, The Wyvern Spur, and Song of the Saurians, which I'm reading and very much enjoying at the moment. If you're a fan of early Dungeons and Dragons, if you had some of the source books that told you about places like Cormyr and Shadowdale, you're going to recognize characters. Elminster is mentioned, Lord Morngrim is mentioned, King Azaun IV is mentioned, and it's a lot of fun. This trilogy of books is a lot of fun. But again, this one, probably the weakest. The writing, pretty solid. Really enjoyed it. So there you have it. That is the Wyvern's Spur, Book 2 of the Finder's Stone trilogy. So if you enjoyed this video, which I know you did because you watched it all the way through to the end, like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any subsequent videos that we at Plaguelands Media put up for you. Because we don't do this as a living. We do this for fun. We enjoy it. It's great talking nerd stuff with the fans out there. So, please everybody, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Go and check out Ian Van Gammet's other art channel that I'm going to post in the link below. It is phenomenal. His art is just getting better and better every day. Go and check out our good friend Dr. Luke Carmen's recent interview on his trip to Romania for a book launch. You will not be disappointed. Again, link in the description below. But most importantly, go and read a fucking book, people.